us today for the staff of the Roundtable are Michelle Rodriguez, our Roundtable Coordinator, Angela Montes, our Roundtable Administrative Assistant. We have Jeanette Lujan, Executive Assistant, and we have Mr. Short Timer Justin Cook from our consultant from HMMH, who will be, this is his last meeting as our consultant with HMMH, and we will make a little noise about that a little bit later. We also have, I didn't see Linda Wolin, but I'm not sure she's
Linda,
on.
here. She is here.
Thank you, Linda Wolin from the Supervisor Day Pines office, and Bert Ganot from SFO Noise Abatement Manager. And I also see Miss Kathleen Wenworth from Congresswoman Jackie Spears' office. I see Doug Yako also from the SFO. Hello, Mr. Yako. I think you're stepping in today, so welcome. And with that, I'm going to pass it on to Angela to let us know how the public can participate.
Thank you, Chairman Ortiz. For those attending the meeting on the Zoom video conference, we will use the raise hand feature in order to organize any public comments. During the general public comment periods, I will ask those members of the public who wish to comment to click the raise hand feature to speak on that agenda item. For those joining by phone, please press *9 to indicate your desire to speak. When you hear your name called, I will prompt you to unmute your microphone and inform you that you may begin speaking. You will have 2 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, then we will move to roll call, and I believe that is Ms. Rodriguez.
Thank you. City and County of San Francisco Board of Supervisor. No response. City and County of San Francisco Mayor's Office. No response. City and County of San Francisco Airport Commission.
Here, Doug Yackel.
Thanks, Doug. San Mateo County Board of Supervisors.
Dave Pine.
Thank you. The CCAG Airport Land Use Commission. No response. Town of Atherton. No response. City of Belmont.
Todd McEwen, present for Belmont.
Thank you. City of Brisbane.
Terry O'Connell, present.
Thank you. City of Burlingame.
Ricardo Ortiz, present.
Thank you. City of Daly City.
Pamela DiGiovanni, present.
Thank you. City of Foster City. No response. City of Half Moon Bay. No response. City of Hillsborough. No response. City of Menlo Park.
Leah Taylor, present.
Thank you. City of Millbrae.
Ann Schneider, present.
Thank you. City of Pacifica.
Mike O'Neill, present.
Town of Portola Valley. Absent. City of Redwood City.
Jeff G, present.
Thank you. I'm going to go back to Town of Hillsborough. I just saw them.
Here,
Oh.
Christine Krolik, Vice Mayor, present.
Thank you.
Thank
City
you
of
for coming
San
back.
Bruno.
I'm Hamilton, present.
Thank you. City of San Carlos.
John Dugan, present.
Thank you. City of San Mateo. No response. City of South San Francisco.
Mark Adiego here.
Thank you. Town of Woodside.
John Carvel here.
Thank you. You have a quorum.
Wonderful. Thank you. I was starting to get nervous there. And with that, we will move on to public comment. This is public comment for items that are not on the agenda. Staff will read any written comments and allow members of the public to speak. And with that, I'll pass it on to Ms. Montes. Angela?
Thank you, Chair Ortiz. We are now taking public comment for items not on the agenda. And Chairman, we did not receive any written communication for this item. And I do see 2 hands raised. So I will first call on Peter Grace, followed by Mark Scholl. Peter, Mr. Grace, please accept this request to unmute your microphone and begin speaking.
I really want to go and speak on something that's on the consent agenda, and I'd like to stop if this is not the time to speak.
Yes, thank you. This is not the time. There will be time after public items not on the agenda.
And Mr. Grace, I will tee it up as asking for any members of the public to want to take any items off the consent agenda. So that'll be your time.
Thank you, Mr. Grace. So I will now call on Mr. Scholl. Please accept this request to unmute your microphone and begin speaking.
Hi, Mark Scholl, Palo Alto. I just want to comment quickly on the FAA's recent public forum and decision not to proceed with the Big Sur overlay. I thought the forum was useful. Many of the panelists, including some of the airline representatives, were quite substantive, which is always appreciated.
I think this is item 7.
Yeah, I think this is on the agenda a little further on. If you'd like to wait for that.
On the agenda.
Okay, so we will call on you then. Thank you, Mr. Scholl.
Thank you. And I do have one last hand raised by Ms. Mary Jo Fremont.
Perfect. Thank
So
you.
Ms. Fremont, please accept this request to unmute your microphone and begin speaking.
I want to check if I can speak on this airport director's report or wait on the consent agenda.
The airport director's report, we have the comment after all the presentations is with a comment for the period. Is that correct, Michelle?
Just clarifying, we will be taking comments on the consent agenda, and it's up to a member to decide whether to move the airport director reports off at that time. So not at this time, Ms. Fremont, but as soon as he calls the public comment on the consent agenda item.
And then what you can do, Ms. Fremont, is you can ask for it to be pulled, and then you can comment on it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And with that, Ms. Montes, do we have any other public comment?
We do not, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With that, we will move on to item 1 and 2, which is setting the agenda and taking action on the consent agenda. So with that, I'll bring it to the membership. Does any member of the public, any member of the roundtable want to pull any agenda items?
Through the chair.
Go ahead.
Yes, I'm sorry, I heard
I can't raise my hand. I don't know why that function's off.
We can hear you, Member Schneider.
Thank you. I'll pull all 2 directors' reports off consent.
Okay, so we'll take the 2 director report.
And with that, I would make a motion to approve the minutes, item 2.
Just one moment. What we've heard is from the public that they're interested in speaking on this item. So I think we should move to public comment on whether, so that they can decide whether to move the minutes.
First, before we do that, let's bring it to the public. Is there any members of the public who wish to pull any items from the consent agenda? And I think that Mr. Grace had one that he wanted to pull. Mr. Grace?
Right now, I have a hand raised, and that is from Ms. Darlene Yapley, and I see now Mr. Peter Grace. So I can first call on Ms. Darlene Yapley.
Perfect. And Ms. Yapley, what we're looking for is for items that you are getting ready to pull from the consent agenda. Any comments will come later. Ms. Yapley?
Yes, I'd like to pull the minutes from the agenda. I take it you don't want me to comment, just say that I want to pull it.
That's exactly right, and we will get to it in a minute.
Thank you. Yes.
No pun intended.
Okay.
Okay, so with that, do we have any other members of the public wishing to pull any items from the consent agenda?
Yes, Mr. Peter Grace, go ahead.
I'd like to pull the director's report from the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Grace. Member Schneider from Millbrae has already pulled those, so we will let you make your comments when we bring those up. Anything else?
Chairman, with that, we do not have any more hands raised from the public.
Very good. So with that, Member O'Connell, I heard you saying something earlier.
Yes, I would like to approve the agenda with the consent items removed.
So where the motion is to approve the agenda and the consent items removed. So I will entertain a second on that.
Second by Mike O'Neill, Pacifica.
So we have a motion by a member O'Connell, second by member O'Neill. Michelle, a roll call, please.
The City and County of San Francisco Airport Commission.
Aye.
Thank you. San Mateo County Board of Supervisors.
Aye.
Thank you. City of Belmont.
Aye.
Thank you. City of Brisbane.
Aye.
Thank you. City of Burlingame.
Yes.
City of Daly City.
Aye.
Thank you. City of Hillsborough.
We're essentially voting to approve the minutes, is that right?
No, we're actually moving all items from the consent calendar into regular agenda items. Thereby, we've set the agenda, which is those changes. And then we're going to move on to agenda items and take those items to discuss.
So I'm sorry. So what are we voting on then? If we removed everything from the consent agenda?
Setting the agenda.
Setting the agenda. Aye. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. City of Menlo Park.
Yes.
Thank you. City of Millbrae.
Yes.
Thank you. City of Pacifica.
Yes.
Thank you. City of Redwood City.
Yes.
Thank you. City of San Bruno.
Aye.
Thank you. City of San Carlos.
Yes.
City of South San Francisco.
Yes.
Thank you. Count of Woodside.
Yes.
Thank you. Is there any new members present that have arrived after? And I missed. No. Thank you very much. Your motion is passed.
Thank you. And with that, then we will move to the director's report. And I'm going to bring it to member Schneider, who pulled it. And so if you have questions or comments.
Thank you, Chair. It's been a number of years since we dissected the director's report and then moved it over to consent calendar. I actually kind of detailed it today, and it does not reflect low frequency noise, nor does it reflect the experience my residents have. I can bring this up later in the ground-based noise report, but I think from now on, I will be voting not to accept the director's report because it's truly not reflective of the real world. The other option could be if SFO would actually include language that says it's not including C-weighted noise, it's not doing this, it's not doing that. And then, of course, the worst of the noise between midnight and 4 a.m.
Very good. Thank you for that comment. And we can, I'm not sure, do we want to have Bert comment on that or somebody from SFO comment on that before we move on?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I appreciate the opportunity to speak to this. The director's reports were set by the roundtable, and we're giving the report as directed. If the roundtable desires to have something different, then we can entertain the possibilities of making those changes in the future.
Right, so what we need to do is actually propose it as an agenda item to amend the director's reports. With that, member Schneider, I would maybe suggest that you propose that a little later on. And then with that, let's open it. Do we have any other members that have any questions or comments on the director's reports? Having none, then we will move it to the, open it to the public for a comment on this item.
Thank you, Chair Ortiz. And I do see 3 hands raised. So I will first call on Mr. Peter Grace, followed by Ms. Mary Jo Fremont. So Mr. Grace, please accept this request to unmute your microphone and begin speaking.
My name is Peter Grace. I live in Brisbane. Please turn to page 5 of the meeting package, the director's report. You'll see columns left to right headed sites, cities, noise events, and these are the averages for May 2021. I live in Brisbane, where it is reported there were 8 noise events per day. I believe that this was correctly calculated using the airport's metric. The metric was developed to determine the edge of the 65 dB contour that we all know as the flying Jesus, an FAA requirement. Unfortunately, as Anne Schneider pointed out, this metric does not reflect the experience of the citizens on the ground. And secondly, there is no FAA requirement to count aircraft noise events at noise monitors that are not used to define the flying Jesus. It's time to call out this misuse of this metric, and for you as members of the Roundtable to ask for a metric that reflects the experience of your citizens on the ground. Strong words. I draw your attention to two events that call out this misuse. One, a letter to the FAA administrator that our representative Jackie Spear signed and dated September 12, 2014, close to 7 years ago. I quote, "The current 65 decibel day-night average sound level, DNL metric, is outdated and disconnected from the real impact that air traffic noise is having on our constituents and should be lowered to a more reasonable standard of 55 DNL. Two, the National Environmental Survey, NAS, that was published earlier this year showed that nationally citizens are more highly annoyed by aircraft noise than the FAA assumed. At Spear's 55 DNL, the FAA is assuming that less than 5% are highly annoyed, but the NAS says that over 35% are annoyed, i.e. 6 times more. It's time to change the metric the FAA is using to calculate the figures in the director's report. Please make it a priority for the technical working group to investigate alternatives to the current metric being used. Thank you, and I apologize for going over my time.
Thank you, Mr. Grace.
Thank you, Mr. Grace. I will now call on Ms. Mary Jo Fremont, followed by Ms. Rebecca Ward. So Ms. Fremont, please accept this request to unmute your microphone and begin speaking.
Thank you. The airport directors for both May and June show that the split between the two bodega legs, the down the bay versus the peninsula, is now down to 15% over the bay and 85% over the peninsula. For the last several years, it was roughly around 25 to 30% over the bay. And 15 years ago, it was at least 50% over the bay. So why does this split percentage matter? Well, it really matters because the bodega west, which goes over the peninsula, it affects all peninsula communities that are south of San Francisco, including several here around this table. 15% over the bay usage is an historical low, and it's a disturbing fact given that the FAA has said they would reinforce usage of the down the bay procedure with air traffic control. The reinforcement obviously is not working. So why is the bodega down the bay usage so low now? Does SFO understand the root cause of the problem? We never got a straight answer from the FAA. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fremont.
I will now call on Ms. Rebecca Ward. Please accept this request to unmute your microphone and begin speaking.
Hi, can you hear me?
Janice, if you can please reset. Thank you.
Hi, she actually covered pretty much what I was going to cover. The only thing I would say is that in addition to that, in your packet on slide 91 of the FAA, what is the down the bay procedure? It does talk about the fact that the FAA was supposed to reinforce the use of the down the bay in response to the select committee recommendation. So it would be worthwhile, because it impacts pretty much all the communities here, to understand why the FAA is not meeting its obligation and commitment to use the down the bay. During the pandemic, the traffic was extremely light and they didn't do it. And now it is down to 13 to 15%. And I don't know if that's because of the single tracking, but it's been low even before that. And I think it's worth understanding why, because it would relieve a lot of the communities from extraneous noise. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Ward. And with that, Chairman Ortiz, we do not have any more hands raised for.
And we have noted the comments and the questions, and we will work to get some comments back. So with that, I apologize. I forget who pulled the minutes, but who was it that pulled the minutes?
Through the chair, I believe it was Darlene Yapley that asked that they be pulled.
You're absolutely correct. So with that, and I'm going to open it to members of the public in case somebody has comments or questions on the minutes from last time. And having none, then we will open it up to the members of the public, and hopefully Ms. Yapley will be the first one to speak.
Thank you, Chair Ortiz. Yes, Ms. Yapley's virtual hand is raised, so I will call on her first. And she is the only hand I see raised for this item.
Excellent.
So, Ms. Yapley, please accept this request to unmute your microphone and begin speaking.
Yes, my comment is on the June 2nd minutes as I re-listened to the video on the membership topic. At timestamp 1:22:55, member Else made the following motion that was approved by the roundtable. I move that the committee establish a subcommittee to explore criteria for admitting new members along with funding mechanisms going forward for both new membership and ongoing operations and other issues that might be pursuant to these two questions. Member Else wording is not documented as such in the minutes, page 18. Instead, it states member Else moved to establish an ad hoc subcommittee to explore criteria for admitting members. Why does this matter? Well, the actual motion had two important and distinct questions that should not be conflated. Explore criteria for new members and funding, and second, funding for ongoing operations. In fact, just prior to the motion, member Royce underscored the ongoing operations point, timestamp 1/2022. I am concerned over the underlying issue that is greater than just the admission in Palo Alto, and that's the funding for this organization. We have subcommittees that cannot meet, let alone get anything done because we haven't got the resources to staff it. So irrespective of whether or not we add new members, unless we address the funding concern, we've got a major problem here. However, the tasking memo for the membership ad hoc, page 27, does not clearly separate the existing funding and operation issue for the current roundtable from the expansion of membership and any funding implications. The current funding to operate the existing roundtable is not a topic on any of the 4 planned membership subcommittee meetings on packet page 28. I ask that the minutes reflect the motion that was approved at the meeting, and the chair or the ad hoc will clarify if the ad hoc will in fact address ongoing funding and operational issues irrespective of membership. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Yapley. And with that, let's see, I apologize. We should have voted on the director's reports prior to going on to the minutes, but now that we have it, we'll probably do 2 different votes, or maybe we could do one together. The question about the minutes, we could amend the minutes, so that if whoever makes a motion, I would ask that you may want to make the motion including Ms. Yapley's amendments to the minutes. So with that, I'll bring it back to the membership. Are there any further comments or any questions? Or if none, I'll entertain a motion for, can we do both of them at the same time, Michelle, or do we have to do separate?
No, I would recommend doing 2 separate ones, although it's so lengthy as we're doing it, but I think 2 separate.
Very good. So I'll entertain a motion for the first one, which is the director's reports.
Acceptance of the director's reports.
Thank you. I have a motion from Supervisor Pine or Member Pine. And did I hear a second?
Second, Hillsborough.
Second for Member Krolik or Hillsborough. So with that, I'll take a roll call.
City and County of San Francisco Airport Commission.
Aye.
Thank you. County Board of San Mateo County Board of Supervisors.
Aye.
Thank you. City of Belmont.
Aye.
Thank you. City of Brisbane.
Aye.
Thank you. City of Burlingame.
Yes.
Thank you. City of Daly City.
Aye.
Thank you. Town of Hillsborough.
Aye.
Thank you. City of Menlo Park.
Yes.
Thank you. City of Millbrae.
Aye.
Were you going to vote no then on this, or aye?
Thank you. Yeah, I guess I'm voting no.
Thank you. City of Pacifica.
Yes.
Thank you. City of Redwood City.
Yes.
Thank you. City of San Bruno.
Aye.
City, thank you. City of San Carlos.
Aye.
Thank you. City of South San Francisco.
Yes.
Thank you. City of Woodside. Thank you. Your motion passes.
Thank you very much. And now back to the minutes. If I could, I'll entertain a motion as amended per Ms. Yapley's comments. Euler?
I'll make a motion to approve with the amendment of Ms. Yapley's comments.
Thank you, Member O'Connell.
I'm just wondering whether the minutes should be coming back and written into the record in some way. Are we now modifying the minutes to include language regarding that the existing conditions we're going to be analyzing as part of the subcommittee, the existing conditions of operation challenges as well as future
All we're
conditions.
trying to do is have the minutes reflect what was actually said at the meeting. So what I am taking Ms. Yapley's word that that's what was said at the time, and the minutes should reflect what was on the transcript should reflect what was on the video. So what we do with that and how we to set up the ad hoc committee will be impacted, but all we're doing is trying to have minutes that match what was said at the meeting.
Well, I think what I'll be doing then is going back to the physical recording and modifying it as such. In other words, we'll need to look at the recording. Unless somebody here makes a motion, I can't take a public comment and say that's what was said in the minutes. I need to go back to the minutes.
We will remove this item and we will bring it back to the membership for a later vote. So with that, we will move on to, let's see here. Item number 3. Yes, I'm sorry. Somebody have something? No. So we're moving to item number 3, which is authorize the chair for a ground-based noise letter to the FAA Director. And with that, at their meeting on Monday, July 19th, the Ground-Based Noise Committee members voted to write a letter to the FAA Director on behalf of the Roundtable regarding ground-based noise and the next update on the aviation environmental design tool, and to establish a framework for adopting policy on ground-based noise. I'll ask the chair of the committee, Ms. Ann Schneider, to give us a little more information on this. Member Schneider?
Thank you, Chair. Basically, given the time frame between ground-based noise meeting and trying to do something with the study, it was discussed, and I can't remember now if our meeting was before or after the FAA's 2 hearings, that we would send a request into the FAA to look at the FAA's Aviation Environmental Design Tool, or ADDT, and update and ask that it be updated to incorporate aircraft noise, reflection and diffraction from terrain and man-made structures. So it's reflective of the topography we have in and around the area, and how that can affect the contours, especially as ground-based noise moves. And then the FAA to ask them to adopt a framework related to ground-based noise frequency noise, such as C weighting and thresholds for it, since at the current time, the FAA does not consider low frequency noise in the drawing of contours, which then reflects what buildings are eligible for insulation or may reflect other mitigation if there is indeed mitigation. And Michelle, I didn't catch it in town. The third one was something that we tried to get through the hearing, or you helped me write it and send it to them ahead of time, the FAA, which is to create contours that reflect low frequency noise, since at present time, the contours do not take in low frequency noise at all. So whether that's Millbrae up to Brisbane or Burlingame or Hillsborough, that type of noise that is experienced is not reflected in the contours, nor then is it reflected in the director's noise report. So it's the beginning. The letter would be the beginning of asking the FAA to begin to recognize the impacts of low frequency noise.
Okay. Thank you, Member Snyder. I've opened up to the membership to see if we have any questions of Member Snyder or the staff regarding the letter.
And just pointing out on page 24 of your packet is the beginning of that letter. And what we would be doing is any comments that were received today, we'll incorporate it into the letter. We'll loop back to the Ground-Based Noise Committee, and then ultimately your chair will sign it and we will send it off. And I know FAA may have some comments on this as well, or some recommendations. They've been a good partner on this.
Very good. So with that, we'll open it back up to membership to see if we have any questions, concerns, additions, deletions. And I don't see any hands raised. So with that, I'll open it to the FAA. If any of our friends in the FAA right now have any comments or any questions about this letter, we would love to hear your input. I see Favi's camera turned on. Ms. Fabiola Garcia, you.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Only if you just forward the letter to us, we'd be happy to take a look at it and address the questions. I think that's just the best way to go forward.
Very good. Okay, thank you for that. And with that, any other comments from membership? And if not, we'll open it to members of the public. Any members of the public that have any comments on this item?
Thank you, Chair Ortiz. For this item, we did not receive any written public comments. And at the moment, I do not see any hands raised for this item either.
Okay, so we will bring it back to the membership. Any final comments? And if none, if there's somebody who would like to make a motion to approve the letter, then we can move forward with that.
Chair Ortiz, this is Redwood City. I'd love to second Member Schneider's motion.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion by Member Snyder and a second by Member G. So with that, we'll take a roll call. Ms. Rodriguez.
Thank you very much. City and County of San Francisco Airport Commission.
Aye.
Thank you. San Mateo County Board of Supervisors.
Aye.
Thank you. City of Belmont.
Aye.
City of Brisbane.
Aye.
Thank you. City of Burlingame.
Yes.
City of Daly City.
Aye.
Thank you. City of Hillsborough.
Aye.
City of Menlo Park. No response. City of Millbrae.
Aye.
Thank you. City of Pacifica.
Aye.
City of Portola. No, they're absent. Sorry. City of Redwood City.
Yes.
City of San Bruno.
Aye.
City of San Carlos.
Aye.
City of South San Francisco.
Yes.
Thank you. Town of Woodside.
Aye.
Thank you. Your motion passes.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. And with that, we move on to item number 4, which is subcommittee and ad hoc subcommittee updates. We did have a technical working group subcommittee on July 28th, where we discussed the aircraft procedure for night hush and the ground-based augmentation system with SFO. On the night hush, we had prior to that conversations with the office of Congresswoman Jackie Spear with the Congresswoman directly, and she requested a meeting with FAA to talk about the select committee's recommendations and how the times that were discussed and how those were not, and why we ended up with the FAA proposal that we have right now. And so we are in the process of doing that. So the technical working group did not spend much time discussing that, but we did hear from a few. So we went to the GBAS. We discussed many of the innovative procedures, particularly the two that we had already heard about and how they were amended to reflect some of the members of the public's comments and some of the roundtable's comments. And then they also presented a number of new innovative procedures. And all in all, it was very encouraging. There's from their reports, there was some great changes, and it looks like they're going to have some quieter approaches, and I think that's going to benefit all our communities by the Bay. The interesting thing, and I hope Mr. Hanna's in here to correct me when I say this wrong, but when they did the current procedures in the simulator, it turned out that they were very inefficient and required a lot of braking, and so therefore they are noisier than what's being proposed. So we're encouraged with the presentation and look forward to the new procedures and moving forward. So with that, I see Member O'Connell has her hand raised and Mr. Cook. So I'll start with you, Member O'Connell.
Thank you, Chair. The only thing I would like to add, and I was very pleased that the Congresswoman is getting involved in helping us try to get this tightened up before we bring it back. I did want to say that at the end of the meeting, while it was not agendized, I did make a request for the missing Title 21 reports, the ones that are going back further in time. And I hope that that gets reflected in those minutes that I asked for those reports. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Cook.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I was just wondering, if Kathleen's on, I think she is, if she had any indication when that conversation would be had with the FAA regarding night hush.
And thank you for that, Mr. Cook. I am planning on calling for a comment from the FAA and a comment from Ms. Wentworth. So I appreciate that. Kathleen, would you like to comment now on what has happened with the night hush?
As appropriate. Yes, just to be clear, the Congresswoman was mostly concerned with the 1 to 5 a.m. limitation and was hoping that there might be a little wiggle room on the shoulder hours to see if anything could be done. So we have confirmation from Favi, thank you, that she will have the FAA technical staff present that would be required to discuss this. Bert Ganong, thank you. I've received some information, data from him on this issue, and I'm awaiting just a little bit more that I added belatedly. And to answer the question when, I'm looking for right after the first 2 weeks of August. One important participant is on vacation. So I'm looking for a date right after that. And I haven't reached out with a definitive date, but I'll be doing that tomorrow, Ricardo, to see how you want to handle your part of it.
Very good. Thank you, Kathleen. We're looking forward to having that meeting and hopefully bringing our friends in San Francisco a little rest at night. So Fabi, Ms. Garcia, would you care to comment? Do you have anything to add to what has been said?
Thank you, Chairman. Only to say that we are, ready to move forward and hear from the decision from the roundtable. We're also prepared to discuss the data request with Congresswoman Spear and looking forward to that meeting as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And with that, I'll open it up. Oh, I see Terry O'Connell has her hand raised again. So Ms. O'Connell.
I'm sorry, I'm on my phone, so I didn't know how to lower my hand. I will do so.
Okay, no worries. Very good. Okay, so do I have any other questions or comments from members of the roundtable on this item? And again, the technical working group was, I just got to give it to SFO, Mr. Hanna, their consultant. They were a great presentation on GBAS. It was really very good. So with that, then we will, I guess we did that one too. So let me talk about the membership expansion subcommittee. We have, the only thing we've done up to this point for the membership expansion is we've identified the members of the ad hoc subcommittee. And I want to comment, because of comments that we've received in email, the membership was, I decided the membership based on input from a few of the staff and some of my members. What we were trying to do is create a balance between North, Central, and South to come up with a good balanced group. I have Terry O'Connell, who was one of the people who was opposed to it, which I think is an important to have in the group so that we can understand the objections. And with that, we're getting ready to meet. I heard your comments, Ms. Yapley, and we will take that under consideration. So any questions on the membership expansion? Ms. Krolik, please.
Well, thanks, Ricardo. Hi, everyone. I know I'm the alternate, but just for a little background, I was on this committee previously for, I think, close to 8 years. And I do want to say, coming back, that it's great to see Kathleen Wentworth and getting her expertise. I've sat in on a couple meetings since she started, and it's really great. I just feel that, especially looking at page 13 of the report and looking at by far the number of complaints coming from our city, the first one down in Santa Clara County, Palo Alto, 26,000 complaints. I would, and I remember, Portola Valley and Palo Alto having an issue, especially with planes turning to come back into the airport when I was on before. But the balance of what Brisbane and Daly City and Millbrae get, as well as Colma and Burlingame and Hillsborough, and the cities that are close to the airport, I just don't see that that it's anywhere close to equivalent. And there is a Santa Clara, Santa Cruz airport community roundtable for those counties. And I just would hate to see a community, yes, they have issues, but I don't think the issues are in the scale of our current members. And I would hate to see 26,000 complaints take the spotlight off of the essence of the problem, the communities that are closest. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for your comments, and I invite you to join us when we have our first ad hoc committee meeting. I would love the history. I was on the roundtable when we took a vote on this a few years back, and I think the sentiment was exactly what you just said. So I appreciate the thought, and I would invite you to join us for the committees and share some of your history.
I'd be happy to serve. Thank you.
Actually, the committee's already established, but I would love to have you come in as a member of the public and give us your comments.
I'd be happy to do that as well.
Thank you so much. I see Ann Schneider's hand is raised. Member Schneider.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Vice Mayor Krolik. I don't know back, because I've only been on the roundtable. This is my 6th year or so. The large reason a lot of our complaints, our residents, if they complain, if there's no airplane above you, the complaint doesn't get counted. So I have never, when I talk to my residents and they're upset, I try to explain that to them, and I try not to get them spending all their time filing complaints that aren't going to go anywhere because they can't match an airplane to the type of noise. So I appreciate what you said. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'd like to open it to other members of the roundtable. Any other comments regarding this? I think we will have an opportunity to get into the weeds with this at the ad hoc committee meeting. So, but if you have any general comments, otherwise we will move on. So are we opening it up to the public right here? We're going to wait till after the, oh no, this is after this. We're opening up right now? Or?
We would take it all the way at the end of presentations after all.
I'm going to move on to item number 5, which is the chairman's update. And it's just really difficult for me because I've really enjoyed working with Justin Cook to learn that he is leaving us. And it has been really a pleasure. And you have been able to put this in words that even I can understand. So thank you so much. And truly, I think it's difficult to get into these topics and be able to explain it in a way that the public understands. And I think some people tend to talk a little bit above everybody's expertise. You seem to bring it down and make it so that we can all digest it. And I really appreciate that. You've been a wonderful partner and you will be missed. And with that, if anybody cares to join me in embarrassing Mr. Cook, I welcome any other comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. So any members of the public,
Thank you, everyone.
members of the roundtable who would like to make a comment? So with that, thank you.
Anne's hand is raised.
Pardon? Oh, Anne, please.
Thank you, Chair. I mentioned this at the working group. Justin, I'm so very sad. And for the people who weren't there, Michelle, we have to work on changing contracts that the employees of HMMH can never leave. But truly, you have been amazing. And as Chair Ortiz said, have always explained things in a way that is easy to grasp. And I wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors. We will miss you.
Thank you, Anne. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Schneider. And with that, unless I have any further comments on this, thank you, Justin, truly from the heart. Thank you for everything. Best of luck, and I'm sure we'll be seeing you around. Thank you. And with that, I'm going to move to item number 6, which is San Francisco Airport Commission update. I believe we have Mr. Yackel stepping in for Mr. Sauter, for the airport director, Mr. Sauter. So with that, I will pass it on to Mr. Yackel.
All right, thank you, Chair Ortiz, and Justin, best wishes to you. You will be missed. Just a couple of updates, then I'll turn it over to Bert for some updates that he has. Some general updates in terms of passenger traffic recovery at SFO. July was kind of a milestone for our airport. It was the first time since the start of the pandemic that we were able to recover 50% of our pre-pandemic passenger activity, just over 50% for the month of July. So on one hand, we're encouraged by that, but on the other hand, we're actually experiencing the slowest rate of passenger recovery of any major US airport. We're at 50%, and there's a lot of airports in the US that have already reached their 100% mark. In other words, they've already recovered all of their pre-pandemic passenger activity, and they're even exceeding it now, which is not the case for us. And a big reason for that with us is because international passengers make up such a large portion of our overall picture, about 25%, which is about the highest of any airport in the US. And of that 25%, a lot of it is coming from Asia, which is the part of the world in terms of travel that's recovering the slowest. So we're certainly looking at ways to help encourage the recovery of travel. Of course, the Delta variant is postponing airline plans to resume service, but we'll keep you posted on that. Needless to say, COVID testing and vaccinations continue to be a high priority at our airport, and we're passing another milestone at our airport this week with over 30,000 vaccination doses administered at our airport. The vast majority of that, over 25,000, are actually ones that have been given out through mass vaccination efforts in conjunction with the County of San Mateo. But probably the most interesting new trend to that is that we are currently offering the Johnson & Johnson single dose on an appointment basis at our medical clinic in the International Terminal. And when we look at new appointments, 80% of those new appointments are actually coming from non-US citizens. This is known as vaccine tourism, people that are having trouble accessing a vaccine in their home country that are coming to the US, coming to the Bay Area, and making a vaccination a part of their visit. So the way that we look at this is it ensures that vaccine doses don't go unused. It puts it in the hands of people that want it, that have trouble accessing it. It also helps promote the economic benefit of their visit here, the spending that happens while they're here, and they're doing it while they're protected through a vaccination. So that's an interesting trend that we're seeing. On the GBAS side, I know that in some previous meetings, there's been the request for the publication of answers to GBAS questions that have come up in previous meetings. And Bert might have a little bit more information on this, but the team is working to get all of those posted online. And hopefully we'll see that in place in the next few weeks, all of the questions that came up dating back to GBAS presentations from 2018. So we know that's a high priority. Also kind of a milestone for us on GBAS, we now have posted online, and Bert will talk about this a little bit more, the community packets that break down each of the innovative procedures that the team is proposing to put into place in the future. This is kind of an exciting moment for us because this is uncharted territory essentially, and this is really something where we need the public's help in number one, viewing these, taking a look at these packages, making sure that they're providing the information that really helps us all understand what they're there to do and what we're trying to accomplish with these innovative procedures. So this is really the place to, number one, get informed, get educated, but also to provide comments and questions about each of these procedures. And we think that's very important as we bring this back to the roundtable in the future before we submit anything to the FAA. So with that, I will turn it over to Bert for his items. Thank you.
I'll go ahead and pull up the screen share here. And we'll go for the full screen with it. So we have been talking quite a bit about our noise app. I just wanted to give a brief update. We have given some changes to the app right now. With the Submit Now button, there's 4 choices that you can go ahead and do with the low and loud, speed brakes, ground-based noise, excessively loud. All those allow for people to make the choice and just respond immediately with pushing the button. It goes straight in. We also have the ability to see the last 5. Reports that you have, and the updates are brought up currently as you go through. We also have the last 90 days. And let's see, running through these. So we also have the GBAS CFPPs, the community flight procedure packets that were mentioned a moment ago by Doug. We have 2 that were updated. We had the originals that were the draft versions so that we could get feedback and get input on how they looked and how they're usable. The remaining 10 came up online this past month at the web address that's on the screen. We also are asking for direct feedback on the community flight procedure packets via the email address sfo.gbas@flysfo.com. The other nice thing about it when you get to the web page is you can go to the icon of the map that you see there, click on it, and it gives the ability to drill down to a much tighter level. You can get down almost to your street, if not to your street. And we also have, it'll clock through and show the different aircraft types. So we have 2 different narrow body aircraft and 2 different wide body aircraft. We're not mentioning names, but we do have it in there. The curiosity may be, why not say what type of aircraft it is? I'm gonna nip that one in the tail right now. And that's because the simple fact that the procedure is using a tool, and the FAA has asked that we not, or the manufacturer of the software has asked that we not go into the full details of the aircraft type at this time. But we're using those, and we're finding some good results. As was mentioned earlier by the chair, the amount of indicated noise reduction is quite good. We have a new section on the Q&A that we put up, and we're going to be working very hard to keep that updated and current. It's taken us a while to get here. Right now, we tried different methods in the past, and with a little community feedback, we listen. We're bringing it up just like we did with the noise app. Community feedback, we listen, we put them up. And so very proud to mention that we're really doing that and really listening. Some input, runway 28 right. We mentioned this before, started construction, reconstruction of the runway, 28 right, 10 left, back in April. And still expecting to complete it by Labor Day, September 6th this year. We did have the issue of runway 28 left, since it's the only arrival runway at the moment. Not the only, but the most used arrival runway. And it has had a significant amount of rubber buildup. You can imagine the tires on the airplanes going 0 to 100 and something miles an hour touchdown does leave a reverse burnout, basically. And so for safety's sake, that had to be removed. So the operations staff originally had planned on 2 nights, July 26th and July 27th, between 2 and 6 a.m. to do this. And the amount of rubber was significant enough they added another night. And we do apologize for the poor noticing on this. We're working right now with our web redesign, the airport web redesign, not just ours, to do better alert notification. And also we're going to be doing alert notification through our SFO Copilot app for those that will be installing that as well. We're not trying to advocate installing another app, but there are multiple avenues that we're trying to get this out. The Fly Quiet report conversion to our new reporting platform is in testing right now, so we're going to be getting the backlog on those knocked out here pretty soon. We've been working very hard with EnviroSuite, our vendor on this, who also helped us with our app. And the Title 21 threshold waiver request, Part 2 is in review right now. We'll be pushing it over to the Roundtable and then combining Parts 1 and 2 so that we can submit a threshold waiver request to the state of California. And that would be the end of my presentation.
You're muted. And can I ask for one other update from Doug Yeakel when you're available?
Yeah, go ahead, Michelle, please.
Hi, Doug. Included in the packet is the recently approved SFO strategic plan through 2023, and we hadn't heard an update on that. So I think it would be good for the Roundtable to, at a minimum, know that a strategic plan was approved. There's also a community partners section on page 73 of our packet where a noise policy is part of that. And there's also an indicator regarding noise. So you might want to brief us.
Sure. So the interim plan is just that, in recognition of how dynamic our world is right now, talking about the rate of recovery and Delta variants, and we really don't know. You know, traditionally we issue strategic plans in 5-year increments. It was time for a renewal, and then rather than venturing into a 5-year plan with such an uncertain future, we approved an interim plan. And in this interim plan, we really wanted to encompass and organize a lot of the different initiatives. So you do see a section, I think it's 4.6, that deals with noise. And that really encompasses a lot of the things that we've talked about extensively in the roundtable meetings. It encompasses things like GBAS, things like the noise insulation program. But the real nature of this, and I guess the real headline to this, is interim, and the fact that we just need to stabilize our industry, stabilize what's happening at the airport, and then kind of set a new course in a new 5-year strategic plan. And we'll keep you updated on that. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Yeakel. And Bert, I was going to ask if maybe you or Mr. Hanna could comment on what I found really compelling in the technical working group was the results of the simulator for the current procedures. So could you just briefly tell us what happened there?
Paul, I know you're online. If you don't mind speaking to that, since you had direct experience with it.
I can get off double mute. Good evening. Thanks for the opportunity here. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Yeah, so what we had the opportunity to do, courtesy of United Airlines, was to jump into one of their 737-800 simulators and evaluate both the existing RNAV GPS approaches that start at the Eddy waypoint, kind of coming over, I think, many of the folks participating on today's call. And then also attempt the approaches, one of the innovative approaches that is being proposed, which is the GLS alpha to both 28 left and 28 right. And what we discovered in the simulator is that the existing approach, as it's currently designed with all the altitudes, starting at 6,000 at Eddy and requiring aircraft to be at 240 knots, presents an interesting challenge for the trained flight crews that were manning the simulator to both manage the descent into the airport and try to find the smartest way to bleed off that speed. And the flight crews basically said they had two choices of what they discovered in the simulator. One was to use aerodynamic deceleration, deploy a speed brake, or the other, which is not suitable, is to hold that speed and basically fly at the runways at faster than what the air traffic would normally allow. So what that simulator event kind of revealed to us is that the approaches as they're built today, that start at Eddy, that head for both 28 left and 28 right, for the 737 aircraft in particular, probably have speed brake usage for some percentage of the aircraft. We also are working on getting some time in the A320 simulators at United to see if this is kind of a common effect across the narrow body fleets. The perhaps positive news is that the innovative GLS procedures that are there in the community flight procedure packages available for folks to take a look at did not have the need for aerodynamic deceleration, and that was a result of the slightly more shallow path at the beginning of the approach that allows the aircraft to first achieve kind of a slower deceleration before then kind of having to manage the descent. So there's an interesting simulator result for us, and this is part of what we want to confirm with our flight evaluations, which we're also discussing in the technical working group.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Hannon. Thank you for your technical working group presentation. It was very helpful, and I found that to be a really positive news. So thank you for that. And with that, does anybody have any questions, comments? I see Member Schneider, your hand is raised. Is that you're ready to go? Go ahead.
Yep, thank you. Couple of questions for Mr. Yackel and then for Bert. Number one, when San Francisco talks about the number of passengers, that's one data set. But during COVID, a lot of the airlines started adding more cargo. And so I would love to hear the data in the future talk about the number of passengers as well as the number of cargo. You add cargo to these planes, they're just as heavy. The backblast noise is greater on that. And the flights that have been leaving in the middle of the night, it is my understanding, are cargo flights. So the Ariana flight that flew over my house at 3:54 on the third day of rubber cleaning was a cargo flight that basically woke up half of Millbrae on that. So we really need to see data that breaks the two of those things out. Number two, at the working group, it didn't dawn on me that one of the GBAS procedures being looked at are 19 runway activity. I am guessing, having looked at the diagrams, that these are arrivals on 19 and not departures on 19, but it isn't clear. I am absolutely concerned about 19 activity, because in theory, we've always been told that's only for reverse flow, bad winds, where the airplane has to take off into the wind. And that is not what has been happening over the last couple of months. There are 19 departures during the day. There are 19 departures during the night. And that is of great concern, especially because our roundtable, unlike many of the others in the country, do not look at particulate pollution. So we had our movie night with hundreds of children at our Central Park when a plane was about 100 feet over Central Park, dropping all kinds of microparticulates into young children's lungs. So and it's my one hope that you guys looking at expansion of the MOU will also include particulate pollution, especially these low-lying flights. There's less land or less air to disperse the pollution. So I'm concerned about seeing 19, and there were 3 or 4 19 activities listed in the staff report tonight, or the packet tonight, that are under procedure by the FAA, and that didn't come up at the working group. So those are and my third thing would be, Doug, if you could tell Director Sotero, I very much appreciate, he was the only voice at the 2 hearings that the FAA held that talked at all about low frequency noise. So I heard him, I appreciate it. FAA ignored any of the questions I put in, but thank him for that.
Thank you, Member Schneider. And without any other members of the roundtable wish to comment or questions?
Mr. Chair, if I may, the GBAS is arrivals only, so there will be no departures under GBAS at this time.
So everything on that report that's related to 19 has to do with arrivals.
Anything on CFPPs are all arrivals.
Right.
GBAS is not designated for departures at all.
And
is it going to increase, I'm sorry, through the chair, is it going to increase the use of 19 and decrease the use of 28?
It's for when 19s are in use due to winds out of the south and or inclement weather. And that would be the time we would expect to see the 19 arrivals used.
Okay.
So let me ask you a question a little differently. Is the expectation that GBAS will change the number of flights that arrive on any of the runways, or is it going to be roughly the same, just different approach?
No, the expectation is no more at this time. In fact, the number initially will be fairly low. It'll take, what was it? I think we said as many as 30 or so per day on those arrival routes initially. But it'll take time for the numbers to come up. The nice thing about GBAS, and we're hoping for the noise reductions, we're also hoping for the delay issues. We'd like to see that the flights arriving on time, not extending into the later hours. And that would be the benefits we're expecting from GBAS.
Excellent. Thank you, Bert.
Yes.
Without any other comments or questions from members? If not, then we will move on to item number 7, which our friends from the FAA are going to talk to us about their workshops that were held in July 20th and 21st, including a slide presentation. So I believe it's Ms. Landis who's going to be presenting for us tonight. Is that correct?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I don't have a slide presentation. I was going to speak to some of the statistics of the workshop and kind of recount what the topics were. So again, the FAA held the virtual public workshops on July 20th and July 21st. We had folks that registered via Zoom. Approximately about 413 folks attended, registered via Zoom. And what was, I thought, really great is there was actually over 171,000 folks that accessed the workshops through the social media platforms, whether it was the FAA Facebook Live, whether it was through the YouTube, and the other, I believe, was Twitter. So that's a lot. And then also we covered the first part of the workshops was a recorded presentation of information about certain topics, 12 topics that were related to the Select Committee and the work that the FAA has done with the Select Committee. And then it was followed by a live question and answer session. And with our panelists there, we had representatives from the FAA, as well as from San Francisco Airport, Oakland Airport, San Jose Airport, also the airline carriers, as well as the cargo carriers, the representative for the airline Professional Airline Association, as well as others. And the first evening we answered questions for about 90 minutes, and the second evening almost for about 2 hours. There were lots and lots of questions, and we were trying to we got to them, in order received. Unfortunately, you can't get to everybody, but all the questions that were answered are part of the videos that are recorded and are available on YouTube. One of the projects that I'm working on right now is updating our FAA community involvement website that will have additional information from our workshops as well as the videos. Right now, one of the things I'm working on with the videos is trying to organize them in a manner that folks can, in a sense, fast forward to a topic they may be interested in and have that information. So I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I guess it was just some feedback. I apologize. So yeah, I think it was a very helpful opportunity for the FAA and the airports and the airlines and the users to help share their different perspectives about the complexities of the airspace in the Bay Area, about the constraints of how airspace and flight procedures are developed and managed, and even from the air traffic control perspective, what's involved in trying to manage that airspace for all users. And even those users include drones, which are not my favorite, but enough of that.
Thank you. And Ms. Garcia, I see you. Ms. Garcia, go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you. Sorry, I just wanted to clarify the 170,000 number that Marina cited. We don't necessarily know that 170,000 individuals. However, with all of our social media, they did hit, the various sources, and we've gotten those, that many hits. Also, since we're not planning on posting the questions from the workshop, if there are any questions that remain unanswered, and I heard the comment earlier from the mayor, please do send us those forward, send them forward through you, Chairman. We did try to mainly focus on the recommendations from the select committee and what we owed them, the updates that we owed them. So that was really the focus. And of course, there's with the limited time, a lot of it, as you heard during the workshops, there was a lot of interest around some of the issues like night hush and surfer. So I just wanted to share that. And I think Beth White may also want to weigh in. She's here with us also together the workshop. So if that's all right, I'll turn it over to Beth.
Oh, please. Yeah, thank you. Ms. White, please go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate the time. Yeah, I was very pleased that we were able to host the meetings. I do think it was a good opportunity to share a lot of information, especially, around a lot of the challenges and constraints that do exist in the system. Sometimes they're not easy to see. And I think it was a good opportunity to have that conversation. The other thing I think was very important is the participation that we had from the airports and the carriers and the Airline Pilots Association. I think many of you probably have heard us say in the past that, these issues are not something that one single entity that exists in the aviation industry can address. It has to be addressed as a group, as a community, as the aviation community, and even communities that surround airports with how things are, different things may be managed or run in different communities and cities. So it's very important that all voices are brought into the conversation so that there can be a real dialogue, I think. And so, and again, I just want to echo what Fabi said. I want to make sure everybody understands this. A meeting like that is not a one and done. It doesn't mean where our engagement has ended. It is I think, an important step in it. We answered, as I said, Fabi mentioned, almost 3.5 hours of questions. But if there are any questions that the roundtable or members of the roundtable feel went unanswered and you would like us to address, please, we would be happy to take those on and answer those questions for you.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you all for your presentation. Michelle, did you have a question for?
No, I just wanted to make sure that the members saw that the slides from that presentation are on page 84 of the packet, and then also the night hush departure proposal from your technical working group is included there, and from that is what the Congresswoman's going to be working off of too.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Rodriguez. And thank you to our friends from FAA. I'm going to open it up for members of the roundtable for any questions. I see Member Schneider's hand is raised.
Thank you, Chair. To the FAA staff, our staff person, Michelle, and I worked on a set of questions. We sent them to you a week or 10 days in advance. They were more based on ground-based noise, and they were ignored entirely. So I guess we will resend them to you in the hope that maybe you will come to a future ground-based noise and begin to talk to us or work with us on a whole range of noise issues that haven't been dealt with and are ignored, and that basically put people who can't sleep at night, are therefore more subject to everything from diabetes to heart attacks to children not being able to learn as well at school. The other side, having listened to both of those, having enjoyed the airline representatives talking about the reduction in noise as airplanes have gone from stage 2 to 3 to 4 and eventually 5. That's all well and good, but it gives a false narrative. The noise at the high frequency level is being reduced, but noise at the low frequency level will actually get worse as the airplanes get bigger. And that in itself means that the discussion wasn't as honest as it should have been. And I sat there the whole time adding questions into the question saying, wait, can you divide out what your speakers are saying? Because they're answering one set of problems, but ignoring the second set of problems. And really, we're in the 21st century. We are not stupid. We can get into more technical discussion. And in fact, whoever managed the second hearing said, oh, well, you know, your technical working group have really good people who can go into the technical information. And I kind of joked because you expect all of us on the technical working group to come up with new routes. But if you think we're that technical, then we can understand the difference between high and low frequency issues and have the discussion accordingly. So I'm sorry if I spent, what, 4 or 5 hours listening, interesting, didn't help my people at all, period.
Thank you. Do we have any other comments or questions from any other member of the roundtable? And with that, then I will say thank you to our FAA representatives. We appreciate you being here tonight. And with that, we will move on. And I think at this point we do,
Public comment on any of the presentations.
So I'm sorry, say that again, Michelle.
It would be public comment and
Yeah, that's where I was headed. I was
Mhm.
just reading, there was an item number 8 for member communications that I think we can lead for after that. So right now we're going to open it up to members of the public for comments on any of the presentations. So Ms. Montes, take the helm.
Thank you, Chair Ortiz. I do see 2 hands raised, and actually, I'm sorry, I see
Can we go
Ms.
back just a
Wentworth.
moment? Can we just go back just a moment? I see Ms. Kathleen Wentworth has her hand raised. I would rather listen to her comment before we move on to the public.
Yes, thank you. I was going to point that out. Thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to, with all respect to the shortcomings mentioned by Ms. Schneider, I would like to, on the whole, congratulate the FAA for really an excellent public engagement endeavor. I thought the information was well presented. It was informative. It was understandable to the public, and you had some great graphics on it. Very, very nice. If for those members who are new or maybe just want to review, this would be worth your time to take a look at. I think at least maybe the recorded kind. I don't mean to suggest you need to listen to almost 2 hours of question and answer, although I think we're going to have a transcription on their FAA website at some point. I think that's what I heard. And I think everybody on the panel was just marvelous. Our local airport representatives were great. Our TRACON, Than McLeod, was wonderful. One of our favorites that's here a lot is Joe Burt, and he did a great job. And I just have to say that it was very well put together. Yes, there were a lot of questions of mine that didn't get answered either, Anne, if it makes you feel better. Like none of mine got answered, but that's okay. I think we'll have our opportunities to connect with the FAA going forward. On the whole, I just think this was a really good presentation. I know it took the FAA a whole lot of staff power and effort, and I appreciate that you've done that. And it was, as far as I was concerned, very well worth it.
Thank you for that comment. And I think I have to second the kudos. I think it was well done, and I really do appreciate the outreach to the community. I think the tone has changed, and it's, you know, I really do appreciate it. So thank you for that, Ms. Wentworth. Ms. Garcia, did you have something you wanted to comment on that? Favi?
No, I'm sorry. I was just acknowledging Kathleen's.
Okay, no, I saw your camera come on, so that's what I was asking. With that then, Ms. Montes, if we could just take it now to members of the public, you are now in charge.
Thank you, Chair Ortiz. And I do have 3 hands raised for members of the public. So I will first call on Mary Jo Fremont, followed by Ms. Liz Lopez. So Ms. Fremont, please accept this request to unmute your microphone and begin speaking.
Reducing noise is SFO's #1 goal for GBAS. So this means noise reductions must be perceptible by people on the ground. So far, the noise modeling analysis don't show that. Therefore, SFO should not claim noise reductions and submit approaches that won't really reduce noise. And SFO's use of the cell metric to describe noise reductions is problematic because cell decreases of 3 to 5 dB will not be perceptible. Cell is the total noise of an event as if it occurred in 1 second. Noise events don't occur in 1 second. They last about 30 seconds. Therefore, a 5 dB decrease in cell is a 5 dB decrease over 30 seconds. On average, it's a decrease of less than 0.2 decibel per second. Nobody can hear that. SFO must report multiple metrics, which they can, and state the expected usage for each approach. 2% of the plane using an innovative approach, which may reduce noise by a fraction of a decibel each second, is not noise reduction, it's status quo. Based on the information provided by SFO so far, I honestly don't know how this roundtable can decide what approaches to support or not support, except for down the bay. Future GBAS updates need to be more informative, and that means highlighting changes since the last presentation or package, specifying for each approach the expected usage and if the noise reduction would be perceptible, and addressing the community questions. Posting some answers today was a great step forward by SFO. And finally, we need real innovation on the approaches to reduce noise to pre-next-gen levels. The community question about using the full GBAS capability was read by the FAA at their Wednesday, July 21st workshop. Unfortunately, the SFO representative missed a great opportunity to support the community and ask the FAA why they don't want SFO to fully use GBAS to reduce noise as much as possible. It was disappointed to witness that because we have previously asked SFO to push back on the FAA's position, given that the FAA considers SFO the community representative. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fremont.
Thank you, Ms. Fremont. And I would just like to make a reminder that this is public comment for presentations, which is items 4 through 7. So I will now call on Liz Lopez. Ms. Lopez, please accept this request to unmute your microphone and begin speaking.
Hi, this is Liz Lopez from San Francisco. I wanted to thank Kathleen Wentworth and Jackie Spear for their work on the night hush. It's so very, very much appreciated. And I just wanted to give a big thank you to them. In regards to the FAA presentation, I really do think it would have been beneficial to have had this presentation back in 2014, prior to the concentrated flight paths being created without public input. That would have been a great time to have this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lopez.
Thank you, Ms. Lopez. I will now call on Mark Scholl, followed by Ms. Rebecca Ward. So Mr. Scholl, please accept this request to unmute your microphone and begin speaking.
Hi, Mark Scholl from Palo Alto.
Hold just a moment, Mr. Scholl. I think we need to reset the clock.
Oh, I guess so. I got a minute.
Yeah. So.
Well, I screwed up earlier, so I guess I have to. Can't throw stones. Tell me when I should.
Okay. Go ahead, and then we can reset the clock.
I'll just start and reset it.
Thank you, Janet. Are you able to read the clock?
Mark Scholl from Palo Alto. I sincerely appreciate SFO and United going to the trouble of modeling and testing both in simulators and with actual aircraft at proposed GBAS arrivals. This is the way all procedures should be implemented. That said, what the tests are showing is how bad the overenergy problem at Waypoint Eddy is on Surfer, which triggers speed breaks and, as the presentation puts it, more significant flap and aerodynamic deceleration devices. This problem is not a GBAS problem. It was created when the termination of the Surfer OPD was moved from the Menlo waypoint 8 miles back to the Eddy waypoint as part of the Surfer 3 implementation. This is well documented in the FAA PBN full working group minutes that this was done to enable deceleration and descent paths that would not be accommodated within OPD guidelines. Planes exiting the surface structure are consistently too high and too fast, which means they must use air brakes and excess drags between Los Altos and Menlo Park. And as bad as the 737s were in the simulator, it's the 320s that deploy speed brakes the most. We've been a broken record on this problem. It is fixable and needs to be addressed, whether GBAS happens or not. We've also been told that the FAA absolutely will not adjust Surfer for GBAS, and we just have to live with the rough transition in Eddy. Yet in response to a question on this issue at the recent FAA forum, Tham McLeod from the FAA, who is more credible in NorCal airspace and procedure issues than almost anybody, saw no immediate reason why it could not be adjusted. I think this should be escalated and pursued. Now that the Surfer ground track will not be moved, let's at least fix the problems on it at Eddy that can be addressed, like the speed brake and excess deceleration problem, not just for future GBAS implementations, but for today's arrivals as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schultz. And are we having a little issue with the clock? Can we reset it now?
Yeah, we're having a little issue with the clock, but I'm just going to keep a timer on my phone, and I'll remove the share screen in a second.
Perfect.
But I'm going to call on Miss Rebecca Ward. And after her, I do not have any more hands raised from the public. So Ms. Ward, please accept this request to unmute your microphone and begin speaking.
Hi, hopefully you can hear me. My question, this is Rebecca Ward from Palo Alto, and my comment actually relates to the FAA presentation. I alluded to it at my public comments at the beginning as it related to the airport director's report and the lack of the use of the down the bay procedure, which is the only procedure that takes traffic completely off of communities, and there's a lot of traffic on Bodega. In the slide packet, they have the what is the down the bay procedure, and they talk about how they strengthen the SOP for it to actually use that as when they could, but yet that's not happening. During the pandemic, it was down to 34% use, and now it's down to 15% use. So I think it's important for the FAA to tell us why they're not using the down the bay procedure when the bay is completely empty. And I think it would be helpful to get an update from them on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ward.
Thank you, Ms. Ward. And I do have one final hand from Ms. Darlene Yapley.
Excellent.
So Ms. Yapley, please accept this request to unmute your microphone and begin speaking.
Here's an example of why the FAA community engagement for new procedures does not work. At the workshops, the FAA announced they could not do the BSR overlay after 5 years from the select committee recommendation. They claimed that safety and the 9 criteria could not be done. The story does not add up. In May 2018, the FAA knew that they could not do the BSR overlay. That's why they designed in 2019, June, a new Surfer replacement, which didn't meet the 9 criteria. Why did we have to wait 3 years for them to tell us they couldn't do the BSR overlay? Why did the FAA proceed in 2019 with an environmental assessment on a new procedure, seeking input on historical properties, and creating 2 high production videos on a new procedure that was infeasible? The BSR overlay surprise proves again that the community engagement for a new procedure is problematic. We need changes. We must have real community engagement. Number 1, noise abatement must be the objective after safety. Number 2, true community representation. Today, there's no ability to influence because there's no proactive engagement in the design process. We need a technical consultant to be part of the project team to advocate for the community. Kathleen Wentworth has previously mentioned this. We need transparency and timeliness, which means the FAA discloses the applicable safety and design criteria and whether waivers can be requested. The community has to receive timely updates and be able to review alternative solutions and provide input before decisions are made. I urge the roundtable to reflect on the lessons learned and considering making a formal request for true community engagement. If nothing changes 5 years from now, we'll have more noise for departures, arrivals, and ground-based noise. Page 98 of the packet is an article I co-wrote in the A&R for the community disengagement problem. And I just want to give a shout out to Justin Cook and thanks to Bert for the GBAS dashboard. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Yapley.
Thank you, Chair Ortiz. And with that, we do not have any more hands raised from the public.
Okay, thank you for those very enlightening comments. And with that, we will move on to item number 8, which is member communication. So I will bring it back to the membership to see if anybody has some final words or any communications you want to share with the roundtable. And I don't see any raised hands. Angela, do you see any raised hands?
I do not see any hands raised.
Terry, I saw your camera come on. Do you have something to share with the rest of the class? No? Okay. So with that, then I guess I have only one thing to do, and it's a call for adjournment. And I want to thank all of you for being here. And we will...
Chair, pardon me. I do see Ann Schneider's hands raised.
Oh, Member Schneider, please.
Thank you, Chair. We talked about the director's report and how it might be modified to reflect the information that we've learned at least over the last 3-4 years. Could that be something brought up at a technical working group because there is no scheduled ground-based noise meeting for the rest of the year?
I think it's probably more appropriate for the technical working group, even if we did have the ground-based noise. But so yes, I think we will put that on our list and we will bring it up. So thank you for that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other comments? Having none, meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for being here and we will see you soon. Good night.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Thank you.